I can hear your keyboard real loud.
Sorry.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Irongeek cast number 200. 200 casts is a lot. How's everybody doing tonight?
I don't know. 200 casts is a lot, man. We've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I think we started early 2017, maybe.
Yeah.
I have to go back and look at where I didn't have show notes of the very first one. So,
yeah, put together lots and lots of good info over the years. We're getting old. I was hoping some of the old cast regulars would show up for number 200, but everybody's kind of distracted with all the political shit going on right now. So, it's just us again, the three amigos. Now somebody else talk.
got anything to say, Dan?
Oh, not really. Like we talked about before, just same shit, different day for me. So I'm just kind of dealing with life one step at a time, just like I always am.
Yeah, the only new exciting thing for me today is I got my first crosscut shredder.
Yeah, I bought one of those a couple years ago because, I need a new shredder. And they actually, you can get them on Amazon for like $30-$40.
Yeah, I got mine for $40. It's supposed to do 8 sheets at a time, but I can feed through more than that. It just, kind of grinds at it.
You hear it go, yeah. Those things are pretty easy too, because you could just take a piece of paper and put some like vegetable oil on it and throw it through there to lube it. That's all you got to do. It's all the maintenance you have to do. They're stupidly easy to work with.
I got enough, things like bank statements and so forth, and credit card offers and shit that I used to try to shred by hand, but I can only half-ass do that. But this thing makes fairly nice rectangular strips out of them. So,
does it make strips or does it make little pieces?
Well, they're not square confetti. It's not like the entire length of the paper of a strip. It's like, that just comes out like 1.5 inches maybe long and about less than a centimeter wide.
Okay, so it's a confetti maker. Okay, because you see crosscut, and that's my first thought was something that not only shreds it down but also crosscuts to make it really hard to put together.
Yeah, it's good. It's a crosscut one. So I first did crosscut, I figured it was going to make like square ones, but no, it doesn't make square. It just makes very tiny, like I don't know, inch and a half long strips.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the show notes.
Yes, sir. That we can do. So let me close my work-related windows so I don't start popping up stuff I should not and get myself in trouble,
No tiny midget foot porn.
That too, but that's not really work-related. Well, it could be. I just need to change careers. All right.
And also get shorter.
Is this screen 1 or screen 2? I don't know. This has got to be screen 2. All right. Let's take that infinite loop window. All right. There we go. And that's good. Let's turn off Twitter. Nobody cares about Twitter anymore. All right. We got tons of crap to go through. I got the 16 most interesting things first. And then we got other crap that's less interesting. And we might be, in the future, reducing the amount of articles we go through, depending on some user feedback. So those of you who might be watching on the YouTube, let us know if we're doing too many articles and not enough talking, or just the right amount of articles, or any of that stuff. So first we're going to get started. We got a Russian hacker got 12 years in prison for the massive JP Morgan hack. And if you guys remember, that hack was, I think it was an AWS bucket if memory serves, but we'll see. So the 37-year-old Russian got 12 years in prison for perpetrating an international hacking campaign resulting in the heist of a trove of personal information from financial institutions, brokerage firms, financial news publishers, and other American companies. All right, so maybe it's not what I thought. He was charged with computer? That should be a new word. Computer intrusion, wire fraud, bank fraud, and illegal online gambling offenses. I guess, that's why he needed the money. He had to hack to get money to feed his gambling addiction. He was charged in his role in one of the largest thefts in U.S. customer data from a single financial institution in history. That's a good thing to have on your resume, I guess. And it involved the personal information of more than 80 million J.P. Morgan Chase customers. He also hacked E-Trade, Scotstrade, and Wall Street Journal. So he is believed to have netted over 19 million in criminal proceeds from his part in intrusion schemes. It's a nice haul, I think. So one thing he did was artificially inflate the price of stocks publicly traded in the U.S. by marketing said stocks in a deceptive way, misleading customers, yada, yada, yada. All right. So once he got got caught, he tried to destroy the evidence, as most hackers probably would. He worked with his partner, I guess. Yeah. So, yes, that's pretty much the article. Dude who hacked Chase and a bunch of other places is now going to jail. 12 years in prison. It's a nice sentence. I wonder if there'll be a free, what the hell's this guy's name? Free Andre campaign. Maybe Eric Corley can spin that up. I don't know.
Andre Tutorin. Yeah.
Yeah. Next, we got some experts sounding the alarm on some Android malware that's being sold on hacking forums. So, cybersecurity researchers have exposed the operations of an Android malware vendor who teamed up with a second threat actor to market and sell rats, capable of complete device takeover, exfiltration of photos, location, contacts, messages from popular apps like Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Skype, Telegram, Kik, Line, and Google Messages. The vendor, who goes by the name Triangulum, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but whatever. Triangulum, yeah, that's better. Oh, they advertise this stuff in a bunch of darknet forums, and by darknet forums, they're probably talking about those shitty websites that script kiddies go to, like hack forums, right? Is alleged to be a 25-year-old Indian man, and he opened up shop to sell malware 3 years ago. The product was just a mobile rat. It targeted Android devices. It was like your typical rat, and people went and bought it, and they infected other people's phones with it. He went off the grid about a year and a half ago. There were no signs of any activity on the darknet, and then he resurfaced with another product he called Rogue. This was developed in collaboration with somebody else called Hexagon Dev. Yeah, they got pretty infographics too. So in 2017, it was like $60 for a lifetime subscription to their rat, and they wanted a better shut up, financially viable model. So they went between like $30 to.
You want to take your screen offline for a second and to turn off your messenger?
Yeah, one sec. I just don't want to pop it up with the.
Yeah, disconnect.
Yeah,
I'll remove the. I moved you from the your screen from the screen.
All right, I should be good now. You can put me back if you can.
I did.
All right. So essentially, he wanted to make more money, right? $30 or $60 for a lifetime is not making him a lot of money. So now they're at $30 a month, right? To $190 if they want permanent access to this newer malware. Look, it comes with a nice little GUI. All the stupid shit it can do. Then the app itself suffered a leak in April of 2020. The malware got leaked, and some security researchers analyzed the backend source code, and they were able to see that it had a bunch of security issues, which I would expect an Android rat to have, written by some amateur. Like I'm gonna call somebody an amateur. I'm not so special, but anyway, probably not thoroughly vetted source code, right? And despite the leak, Checkpoint still receives messages from the actors' accounts looking for the software. Essentially, they took over his stuff, and people are still contacting him, trying to get a copy of it. So the underground market is like the Wild West, and that's pretty much the takeaway from the article. I don't like it. Android malware guys. All right. Authorities are also have taken down the world's largest darknet marketplace. So this would be like the new version of the Silk Road that was out. This one was hosted on Cyberbunker, which also hosts the Pirate Bay and WikiLeaks in the past. They took down all their infrastructure, including stuff in Moldova and the Ukraine. This was like a dark market that traded malicious software and goods.
I'm assuming this was a Tor hidden service.
Yeah.
So how did they find it this time? I did a couple talks a few years back on that kind of thing, and how did they find this one? I haven't been keeping up on the current things going on in the darknet.
Well, that's a very good question, and I don't have an answer for you, other than it was Europol, and they must have figured out some way to de-anonymize them, right? Yeah. It was just called Dark Market was the name of it. Not the most imaginative name, but it was the largest one currently in existence. They already took down Empire about August. So this was like, I guess, where everyone flocked to after that. So, yeah, the article really doesn't say how they did it, right? They said it was a Europol-led police operation, right? But it doesn't say how they managed to de-anonymize them, I think. Yeah.
This makes that's slightly off topic, but I wonder if Ross Ulbricht is going to get his pardon or not, because Trump only has a few days left to do it.
It's not going to happen.
I'm
sorry, like that lady was super nice, and I really do hope her son gets out of jail soon. But I don't see Trump doing something that's not in his own interest. And right now, he's already in the shitter with most people. So anyway, he's too interested trying to figure out how to pardon himself at this point. Next thing we've got is Europol reveals, we already read that. Intel is adding hardware-enabled ransomware detection into the 11th gen vPro chips that are on your motherboards. It's kind of a cool technology. Essentially, it offers you the ability to recognize when complex cryptographic functions are being done on your hardware, and it's like a combination of CPU telemetry data and machine learning based heuristics. So that's like a mouthful right there. And actually, it can detect when ransomware or ransomware-like behavior is happening, and I don't know how it's going to actually stop it, but you would at least know that it's happening. Maybe it would be, but I don't really say. It's still kind of cool, though, doing it in hardware, right? Next, we've got aliens and UFOs, a final frontier for social engineers. So, you know how the CIA recently released another archive, and this one was all about UFOs, and all the conspiracy people went and downloaded the files, and they're looking through them and combing them, and apparently they were actual UFO sightings. It's not all made up, but we also don't know if they actually came from outer space or not. But that's a whole nother matter. This kind of great stuff that's hitting the actual news media when they're not too busy talking just about U.S. politics is the kind of shit that social engineers dream about, because you can craft an email to some conspiracy theorist and be like, hey, you know, I've got these unreleased documents from the Pentagon leak, and like, you know, here, and get them to download an infected PDF file or something. You know, it's want to see an alien? I got like a real picture of an alien. Click here.
That so if you want to hack like alien, you want to hack someone like Alex Jones. Except for Alex Jones, my understanding, it's not so much space aliens he's concerned with, but it's like extra dimensional beings and shit.
Yeah, well, essentially it gives you a whole bunch more fishing lures to use against those kind of people. Is the premise of the article. If you are a bad guy and you want to fish one of these kind of people, that is a really good way to do it. Also, next we've got a critical Microsoft Defender bug is actively being exploited in the wild. So, on Patch Tuesday, when you get that little icon on the bottom right-hand side of your Windows machine telling you need to reboot, you probably, should. This one is 10 critical bugs and one under active exploit. Another publicly known, essentially 83 vulns, right? So it's a decent amount of vulnerabilities have been patched to this latest Patch Tuesday. Some of them have been repatched. So there was a bug that was publicly exposed that was CVE 2021-1648. It's a privilege escalation bug, and it has to do with the print driver. So they patched it, and then somebody figured out the way they patched it actually made it vulnerable to something else. So now they repatched it. So patch again, patch away. This is why it's good not to run out-of-date Windows 7 still, because you're not getting any security updates. So take advantage of the fact you're getting security updates and reboot those machines when it's Wednesday and you've pulled down the latest updates. That's what you got to do. Reboot the box. Cybersecurity, don't worry about your uptime. Nobody cares about that. Cybersecurity. So there are a bunch of companies, like these VPN companies, and they sell prepackaged VPN service, and they'll give these dumbasses a little shitty router, right? And this little shitty router automatically connects to their VPN service. That way, this person doesn't have to worry about the specifics of setting up a VPN themselves. These shitty little VPN routers are often made by a company called Zixel, and there just happens to be a remote code execution bug on them because it's crappy Chinese hardware that's backdoored. So that's how it goes. And somebody essentially just pulled down a firmware image and they ran it through like binwalk or strings, and they saw that the root password was there, and it's also running a service that will let anybody log in over the WAN into your little router using those credentials. So yeah, don't run these if you can. And if you are still going to run these, update your firmware. And these are the versions that are affected here. I don't know if you can see on my screen at this resolution, but check it out. It's in the show notes. And if you're a privacy person, do it yourself. Don't just buy some shitty solution and hope it works. FBI warns egregor attacks on businesses worldwide. So this is malware that's already hit about 150 orgs, and it's a ransomware as a service type deal. It's they got some TTPs published now, so you can take a look at those if you are interested. It's one of those where they try and not just get one computer. They will, get in through like BEC, right? Somebody clicks a stupid email. Once they're on that machine, they're now trying to migrate their access. They're trying to essentially pivot from that machine to everything else they can. And if your organization has a shitty patch management system in place and they haven't patched their domain controller, they can probably just use like zero login and then get domain admin and then migrate to everything else, encrypt all the things, and then you're screwed. So, this is one of those things where the FBI is warning people, if they're warning about this particular ransomware, they published how you can detect it if you're running like a SIEM. But most importantly, I think the takeaway is patch management is really important, like I was talking about in the other article.
Welcome Charles to the stream.
Charles! Hey, dog!
Hey, how's it going?
I miss you. I never see you on here anymore.
I know. I miss y'all too.
I can't be nearly as positive as you. I try to do the voice modulation and stuff, but I'm nowhere near as happy sounding as you.
Oh my!
I'm just faking it, but you're actually happy.
Yes, I'm definitely ecstatic. Ow! I'm just enjoying the days, man. Even with all the craziness around us, I still find a way to enjoy.
You gotta. If you don't find things in this world that mean something to you, then everything's going to be meaningless.
Pretty much, So, yeah, definitely great to be back on a Wednesday. Usually on Wednesdays, it's just been kind of like super busy, just like wrapping up pen tests and everything else too. So it's just
good for you, man.
Kind
I've
of
been
been
doing
on a
some
roll.
DevOps stuff lately at my current gig.
Okay.
Setting up shit and hoping it works, and set it up in the cloud, get the thing on the client's end, try and get the thing on the client's end to talk to the cloud, and realize you can't get the thing in the cloud to talk back to the client because of the firewall.
Yeah, something about that firewall, that FW.
Oh, question from somebody mentioned earlier. The question is, would you actually want to see what is on Alex Jones' computer? The therapy alone would be tremendous.
So I would like to see what's on that computer. I think even amongst all the crazy shit, there are things that could be like a grain of truth in there. And there could be some interesting shit he's got that I would like to see. Plus,
more about the
dirt on Alex Jones, so that right there is pretty much useless. But it'd be cool to have.
I suppose you could ask him.
Yeah, I'd be like, "Hey, Alex Jones, tell me what's on your computer," and he'd be like, "Hey, Frank, who the fuck are you, and why are you asking me?"
Well, you could ask and say, "I want to see what's on your computer."
Or he could just easily say, "Okay." You never know.
I don't think either of those scenarios would play out the way we think they would.
You never know.
Yeah.
Right.
So your browser is trying to make your life a living hell. We've got all these browsers, right? You got Firefox, you got Chrome, you got Edge,
Brave,
fun ones. We also got like Opera and all the Brave and all the ones that are like less popular. Mm-hmm. But thanks to CVE 2101, which first one of the year, man. This one is a use after free bug. Cookie bug. I don't really understand it. Charles could probably understand it better, but it's affecting multiple browsers, and from what I understand, it's not great. So the browser companies are updating their crap so that they don't have to deal with it.
Finally.
Speaking of browser companies, a lot of people were talking about uninstalling Firefox because of their public stance on some political issues.
Yeah.
And look, I don't really care about their public stance on political issues as long as the freaking browser works and does what I need it to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm seeing a bad trend, though, in the hacker circles. It used to be more libertarian back, like, let's say, 10, 15 years ago. I'm seeing more authoritarianism and pro-censorship as long as it's their side of politics. It's, like, a little bit annoying to watch.
There are rules for thee and rules for me.
I saw a dude I'd known for years start celebrating Parler getting taken offline from Amazon. I think it's Amazon that they were on, correct?
Speaking of the Parler stuff, some dudes set up some pretty cool infrastructure and were able to pull down about 70% of Parler using an admin bypass.
I've heard that's also bullshit, though.
I don't think so. I've seen also articles about it. Look, it's a lot of freaking data. I can't pull it down to check.
There's some yellow screenshot that someone has. It looks like it was taken off of, I don't know if it was
Reddit or something.
What?
I think I posted something about Reddit.
Yeah, pulled off someplace, and I've heard other people describe what they described as being bullshit. But there is someone out there that's scraping at least the public data that you can do in an automated fashion.
The young lady, what's her name? The hacker name. She says she scraped the public data.
They use the name Crash Override, but that's not the Twitter name. But that's what they have in the name part. But it's not the @ symbol on Twitter. But Crash Override, which is an incredibly cringy name to choose at this point.
Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty funny.
Everything I understand, they actually didn't have admin access. They used an API to pull data from.
Right.
That's from everything I've read.
Yeah.
So this is the article. It says an absurdly basic bug lets anyone grab all of Parler's data. The free speech social network also allowed unlimited access to every public post, image, and video. So that's public posts, images, and videos. So that's not a big deal. If you could get
Right.
private messages, that would be something
I've
interesting.
heard someone complain though. One of the things that they're not doing that other social media sites or other social media apps do is they're not necessarily taking out EXIF data and so forth. So you could possibly find locations and such where someone was taking photos.
Yeah, so to give a little more example of what Adrian's saying, when you take a picture with your phone, lots of information on the picture itself is actually stored with the picture, such as location, GPS location, or phone type, or things like that. And a lot of social media websites, like Twitter, for example, will strip that out, so that way you can't just download it and go, "Oh, I found you! I'm doxing you!" Ha ha ha! And there's tools that will do that for you as well. So.
Now, do most phones still have location data put in by?
Oh,
default?
hell yes! Oh,
Okay.
by default, yeah.
I know they used to. I wasn't sure if they still do.
Yeah.
I turn off the that geotagging on all the photos. I mean, and I turn off location data. I mean, I'll if I need to see the weather or something like that, or do a map, then I'll I make it ask me to allow location. But that's only then I close the app later. So.
Yeah, I don't think I ever
That's
changed
the key
anything on my.
takeaway right there. Only things that were publicly accessible were archived. So I did not get at people's private messages or any of that other stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking that thing coming around on that screenshot is not correct, but this information you just said, I believe, is. Looks like on my Pixel 3 XL, I don't remember ever changing the setting, and my save location is turned off by default. It looks like on at least on my Pixel.
Another thing that happened was Twilio was their two-factor provider. They dropped support for them, essentially cutting them off. So they just didn't bother with two-factor, which would essentially mean not that you could access somebody's shit unless you had their password. It meant like you could create a new account really easily, or a bunch of them, or you could, if you had somebody's password, log into their account without having to worry about the two-factor. You still need the password though.
Yeah. Now, I mean, one thing that did bother me in terms of design was apparently a lot of public posts that people created. If you deleted it, it didn't actually delete the post; it just hid it. So you could still pull it. So it was still able to be pulled and queried via API, which is a really horrible design decision, no matter who the hell you are.
I don't know. I mean, if you're talking about maybe they might have to provide that information to the authorities, that's why they did it. Like, I don't know. I think Twitter probably really does the same thing. There are sites where you can go and retrieve tweets that people have deleted, but I think they're just doing a full archive in real time.
Yeah, it's a web snapshot. It's like archive.org does that, so you can do it there. I imagine Twitter and Facebook and all that such has some kind of like back-end archive they can do where, like, say you delete it, it goes to the archive for 60, 90, whatever days, and then after that it gets rolled off for legal and compliance reasons. But that's probably what they want. That makes sense, because if you make it publicly available to grab via an API, that's just asking for problems. There's no reason to do that. That's just such a terrible design.
At least not in a public API. I mean, having it for like a law enforcement API.
And that's the thing, is if it's an API that can view public posts, it's meant there to grab, as like a feed scraper.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, then you're fucking up.
Well, I mean, now Facebook, deleting any photos or anything like that, they put it in the trash for 30 days, and then I think you can manually delete them too.
I think with Twitter, you can also do an RSS feed on somebody's stuff. Not too hard.
Well,
and if you could just set something up locally, if there was like somebody you wanted to monitor and then they deleted something, you could have a copy of it because the RSS feed would have updated and you've pulled it down.
Remember Twitchy before Twitchy would track. They would have constant tracking of persons of interest. I don't know if they still do that, or if Twitter allows them to do it. But for the longest time, any tweets from celebrities or whoever would show up on Twitchy.
Yep.
And Twit, if you remember that one, that was a tool that you could just start pulling data down. Well, I mean, you could you can run.
You can pull out some serious stuff.
Yeah, you could just keep running Twint, and as long as you don't pull down too many records, you can just keep pulling down the feed. But you're not going to pull down pictures or memes or anything like that. Well, you can actually, but it has to be stored differently than in text files.
I'd rather the data. Forget the memes.
What are you nuts? Give me the memes. Give me memes or give me death.
Well, you can actually pull down any kind of media files. I mean, tweets that have media files, and then you can just pull the media files if they haven't deleted them yet.
Then we're going to storm it in an SQLite database, and then it's going to get too big, and we're not going to be able to use it anymore.
Well, what do they use? What do they use for that? One of the big data.
Don't tell me it's Elastic Stack. I've got issues with Elastic.
It's kind of Elastic, but there's another one they called it. It's Elastic. It's Elasticsearch, but it's one of those.
Yeah.
Elk.
No.
That's
Helk.
That is Elastic.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Anyway, the value in pulling down using Twint is you get the tweet number, okay, and that is like if you wanted to, for legal reasons or something like that, they can change their name and try to hide. But if you got their tweet, their number of the user and the number of the tweet, you got them.
So say theoretically you had somebody who was like a cybersecurity expert. Maybe they got a really good job, like working for the president-elect, and they changed their handle frequently. You could still track who they were that way, right?
That's right. Unless they created new accounts altogether, yeah, you could. That's it.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, I pulled data down, and people changing their handles and stuff like that. Proved, oh, this person was posting revenge porn, and then changed their name and blah blah blah. And,
Yeah,
but
pretty good for DFIR investigations too.
Yeah.
You're like trying to track somebody's stuff.
So
right.
it now Parler, of course they still. I mean, their platform was very immature. Okay, it was running on Amazon Web Services. They were using Twilio, which screwed them over by dropping their sites without even letting them know. So that who knows how much compromise. I mean, that's what that Reddit post was saying. Well, since Twilio dropped it, we knew the service they were using. They were able to backdoor in because they didn't have a two-factor. And I don't know if that's true or not. But then again, it might be. I mean,
Parler had two-factor, but their provider dropped them, and then they had turned off.
Well, it wasn't there. I mean, that's the thing. There was an open window, and it just wasn't there. And
during that time, I think a credential stuffing attack against popular users' email accounts would have been probably successful. Now nobody can do two-factor, and a lot of people reuse passwords, and there are publicly accessible lists of those passwords out there. I mean, it would have been a good time for somebody to do something like that Twitter attack where the guy took over all those accounts and tried to do the Bitcoin scam, Yeah,
which is kind of a waste. I mean,
That was a huge waste. Everyone was like scratching their heads as to why somebody would gain access to all that shit and then use it such a stupid way. It's like, wait a minute. Is somebody trolling me?
2 words I can tell you. Script kiddie.
Yeah. It's like, hit the motherload. They could have sold that to Russia. Imagine Russia tweeting from Donald Trump that I'm going to go to war today with China. It's like stock market would have tanked. They could have just, sold.
Oh, it would have been wild.
And they could have made a fortune.
It would have been wild.
Theoretically. I mean, I would never do something like that.
Well, Parler requires you to have a verified account before you can post links, and then you get your little P
checkbox.
Emblem.
Your blue checkbox.
It's a little P emblem. Yeah, you get an emblem, and so you have to actually scan both sides of the driver's license to get it.
You know how easy it is to make a fake scan of a driver's license? It's like not hard. You can literally go find a template for a driver's license online with like a Google search, and then it's like put your own picture on there and just kind of make it look like you took a picture of it. Like just fuck with the resolution and you maybe even print it out on a color printer and then take a picture of the printout. Like not hard to do to get them to be like, oh, this must be legit.
Yeah.
I've done it with Facebook on my fakes where somebody questioned one of my fake accounts. So I just made up, I took the made up name I used and made a fake ID for it, sent it to Facebook, and they were like, yep, you're good, and turned the account back on. It's not hard.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, the thing is the newer driver's licenses are harder to fake now because they put all sorts of.
They don't say you need a newer one, and a lot of the older ones don't have expiration dates until like 2024.
Yeah, they're like, I know, 7 years, 13 years, something like that.
Yeah. So the UN got hacked, right? They were running their own GitHub instance, and they used admin. And then researchers came along, and they scraped it, and they came across a whole crap ton of data, including a whole bunch of PII, including like 100,000 private employees and project records. So luckily it was white hats, and they told them what happened. This is the UN. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I'm sure how smart some of the people at the UN are. Seeing some of the Twitter posts I've seen.
I don't know who would throw up a server with admin. I mean, unless you're doing it in, like, you're setting up a test server, and then maybe your boss is like, screw you, I'm making it production. And then you're screwed because now your dev box is in prod and you no longer have access to it. That I can see happening. But intentionally setting up a box with admin and putting it in the cloud is just a stupid ass thing to do.
No, well, I thought it wasn't the main account, and it was something else that gave him access.
All right, so there's this thing called Git Dumper, right? And it does exactly what you would think it does. And it works with credentials as well. So they essentially were able to Git clone an entire Git server, which would be like GitHub or GitLab type thing. You know, you can clone the entire thing, all projects underneath it. So pretty much this would be all software developers who are working for the UN using their personal GitHub server. Whoever tossed that server up, like the developer, literally just tossed it up with the default creds, which is like criminally stupid. It's
universally stupid, man.
Where's your brains in your ass?
You are amateur. I was zero cool.
That's great. Man, the things I would have done to meet Kate Libby when I was that age.
Gotta get myself connected. Writings on
the soundtrack to that movie is really good.
Yes, it is.
Orbital and the Moby stuff is really good on there too.
I think in like 2007 or 8 or something. We
actually Rage Against the Machine band they had. That song "Good Grief." I still listen to that shit.
We got a bunch of people together at Freaknik at like I think 2008 or something, and did a fan commentary for it. It's online someplace or another.
Oh my god! If we could find it, that'd be great.
Find what?
The fan commentary from Freaknik.
I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm not old enough for the freaker scene, but I came in at the tail, the very very end of it where it was pretty.
That would make you what, about 38, Charles?
I am 41. I'll be 41 in March. Excuse me.
Holy shit, you're older than me.
Yeah. Well, how did you think I was?
Well, you were like my age, man.
Nah, I'll be 41 in March.
Oh, wow.
I just know
you look good for your age.
Oh well, thank you. Yeah, I probably don't act like the traditional 41-year-old.
Yeah, I still tune you out on Twitter every morning whenever
I know.
I'm like, oh look, it's Charles dancing around and telling people to do good things, and I'm like, I'm happy guy.
I
drinking
found
my coffee. Like, what the fuck?
Charles, I'll send
Yeah.
it to you on I'll just send it to you on Twitter.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'm the happy guy, man, trying to break down negativity one bit at a time. Ha! No, let me stop. But no, I came in at like I said, the tail end of like the freaker scene, but I was always intrigued by it. I love going back and reading what came before me, what happened before me. So reading like the old freaker stories and seeing the old pictures from like the old DEF CON days before I was even able to go or even thought about going or even old enough to go. Yeah, I mean, it was just it's all been fascinating. And now fast forward to 2021, the landscape looks totally different from when I first started because it was more like you had chat rooms, but they talked about like technical stuff. And you didn't see that much politics in the chat rooms.
So speaking of freaking, right? In New York City, they replaced all of those phone booths with these little terminals that have like an Android tablet in them.
Interesting.
And you can make free phone calls on them, and it's got internet access over Wi-Fi. It's got like 2 networks set up. Mm-hmm. One's like a free network, and one has a Wi-Fi password. And I was researching why the heck they have that second network that's got the Wi-Fi password because I was curious. And I came across, essentially, I found the password through just Googling. And then I Googled the password, and I came across a GitHub archive. And in archive, that's the wrong word, a GitHub repository. And in there, I saw that that New York City MeshNet was the secondary password. And that's like a public project that's like open source type shit.
Yeah.
But it's essentially got a second hotspot, and that hotspot is for the New York City MeshNet. And you can connect to it, and I would like to see how the routing is going with those things because I know they're using the POTS lines. They probably turned them into like a DSL type connection, considering it's still copper. It's not like a fiber optic connection.
They didn't get rid of all those POTS lines.
Made them into like little shitty DSL connections. I wonder what that MeshNet's about, and like if the other, so there was a MeshNet project I heard about where people were like buying their own routers, connecting them together in New York City, and making like a giant mesh network.
Right.
But it's connected to those things that are like all over the place. The Android tablets on the walking privacy nightmares, as we call them.
I'm willing to bet that there's probably some interesting back end stuff going on between those mesh networks.
And I'm also wondering if you're on one of them, can you just see all the traffic from the others? If it's passing through you, you should be able to see what the hell.
You should be able to. I mean, it's mesh.
So you're talking about somebody goes to one of those booths and maybe they log into their Gmail account, and you maybe decide to run, I don't know, a man-in-the-middle proxy on yours, and then if like you intercept the creds? Most people are just going to click OK if they get a cert error. They're not going to be. They're like, all right, so let me into my mail. Okay, it's fine. You could theoretically be a real asshole if you had a connection to the network.
No different than the IRC days when people were just like flooding channels,
right,
for no reason.
And don't forget also, if you attach to that hotspot with your cell phone, and you leave the hotspot in your cell phone, every time you walk near it, it's going to try and connect to it. And they can use that to track you wherever you're walking around.
Right. So I've actually done some Raspberry Pi projects with beacon analysis, and it's cool shit for one. Because like whenever you connect to a Wi-Fi network, your phone always tries to connect to it again, even if you only used it once. Right. It's always broadcasting the SSID of like everything you've ever connected to, and the MAC address for your phone changes all the time, despite being a MAC address on most phones now, because they've done that to like anonymize so people don't. But a lot of the numbers stay the same, so you can kind of track, like tie together this MAC, this MAC with this prefix tends to belong to this person, right?
Right.
It'd be like this person who's looking for all these beacons. This is the same user, right? So if you had a bunch of them, you could kind of like throw together a database maybe and be like this user who we don't know who they are, but we know they've connected to all these different Wi-Fi networks and that their MAC address starts with this prefix. That's our user, and we can then tell where they're going if we set up different sensors, different places. You know, it's could be a neat project.
You can also have some fun with, like I used to do what I call ghetto war driving, where you set your rig up and you just ride the city bus all day long, and you pick up all the little hotspots along the way. You could easily map these things out in a day or two.
Yeah, there used to be really fun little Windows-based programs for seeing all the hotspots.
Yep.
And it would like make sound as you got closer to one.
I had a Boboli backpack that was rigged for that with a special headphone mixer that I built from Radio Shack parts, so I could have my jam going plus the output audio from the laptop going. So it'd be like boom, down, bring, bring. Every time I hit a hotspot, it would make that little ring sound.
You got to really pair that with like a GPS receiver, so you can actually like map it both with the digital location as well as the physical location, or an approximation thereof.
Back when I was doing that, it was in the early days, and you didn't have easily available GPS dongles for a laptop.
Ones that were cheap, ones that weren't $500.
Yeah, I mean, I was using Ricochet. Okay, I mean that's how long ago it was.
I love WiggleNet. Hey, so as of late, I've been into VR like heavy. So I've been into like I'm loving my Oculus. I think that's the best thing I could have bought so far. I do a lot of I actually do my work from Oculus now.
I always wanted to do packet analysis through VR. Like, Johnny Mnemonic style. Like grabbing a hold of a packet, opening it up, throw it into Wireshark, and then grab another packet. And, kind of like what they did in Johnny Mnemonic. I always wanted to do that.
Well, surveillance wrong.
But I thought it was pretty cool. That's something to think about. Because, I mean, like today I was in a virtual lounge. And in the virtual lounge, you just see I saw other people just like working on the whiteboard in one lounge, and I was off in my little virtual corner just working away. And it makes me think, like, what if people are using like their desktop for like virtual, for work virtually? Is that stuff really exposed within the virtual world? You see what I'm getting at? Like, what if I was working on something like insanely sensitive, but I could connect to my Oculus, that's to my agent from my Oculus, and actually doing work from there. And what if somebody just walks to the virtual room? They could easily see my data.
I wasn't listening. Sorry.
No. I mean, that's something. Something to think about. Like as we're talking about it, I just thought about something too. I'm wondering, like, when you're in the virtual world, when you're in VR and Oculus, and you're working, you're doing your work, but through the virtual Oculus, can anybody else see the data that you're,
Say I've only got money to buy one VR thing, right?
Right.
Which one should I buy?
Oculus. Quest 2, yeah. It's fun because you could do so many different things with it. It's just not just a gaming device. Like I said, I have my Linux desktop on there. I have I have an agent for my Windows desktop.
I bet I could even view that VR porn I accidentally downloaded and was very disappointed.
You sure can, and the volume is so loud that nobody else can hear it. Oh man,
yeah,
amazing. But like scream if you want to, but only I can hear you. But yeah,
the Oculus what?
The Oculus. Facebook makes it. And I know everybody freaks out about Facebook or whatnot, but it's just like I'm like this. With social media, you control what you put up there. And if it's something that you don't really care about, then, I use my personal Facebook account because, I don't care who sees it. For God's sakes, I do videos almost every day on Twitter. So people know what I look like.
What's with the file size? I thought you're hooking this thing up to like a computer. Why does it need?
No, you don't have to hook it up to a computer. That's within the Oculus itself.
Oh, so do you want to get more storage, or can you pop like an SD card? in there?
Yeah, no, you get more storage. You get that one. I have the 256 gig one. I have the one that's 256 gig.
It's $3.99. That's
Yep.
all. It is.
Yep.
And there's fun stuff, cool stuff to do in there.
Yeah, there's fun stuff. You can actually watch movies with your friends as well too. They have like VR movie rooms, VR chat. They have Beat Saber. They have Jurassic World, where you're actually running from the dinosaur, which that kind of freaks me out a little bit because of the motion. When you're running from a dinosaur.
Did you ever play the old dinosaur VR game that was in the Maglev Donut?
No, I haven't. No,
Pterodactyls, pterodactyls and something else. You know what I mean?
I never. I heard of it, but I never played it.
You see, I bought this, right? I didn't even open it because I realized it's pretty much just a bunch of cardboard. And I bought cardboard for like $80. $80 cardboard. Look at that shit. Nintendo Labo. I can essentially take my already existing device and stick it in some cardboard that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Why this was a thing.
That's the American way.
Right.
Why did I buy this? Because I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker. I buy stupid things for too much money, which is why
it happens. But that's how it was with the Oculus. So I got the Oculus back in November, right? And back in November. Hey.
They used to give those things away for free at security conferences.
What, the Oculus?
No, the
cardboard things.
The cardboard thing.
Oh.
You know, that's sad. I remember days when they used to give away really good swag at the trade shows, not just cheap pens. You know.
Yeah.
I always dreamed to be one of those people who like runs into the guy when he's shutting his booth down and says, "Well, I'm not going to pay to fly this back to Detroit. Who wants this giant computer?" And you know, they give you something really cool.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I've heard stories about people getting stuff like that, but I've never actually had it happen to me.
Yeah, I had some decent regular swag at cons. You know, besides the nice. Every now and then they get a good T-shirt, right? But I've gotten some cool things. You know, like the can openers and the various industry regular type swag.
Yeah.
And then, Trusted Sec gives away some really comfortable socks, and so does.
Oh man, those socks are amazing.
Those are like the those Bombas socks. Those are like super comfortable.
Yeah, somebody thought they were Christmas socks. I said, no.
You people are lucky you can still wear socks.
Mm.
I was angry about my socks, and then I met a man who had no feet.
Right.
Well, I got a case of socks, which I promptly gave away to the accounting department where I work.
Okay.
I get swag and take it up to the people who approve my budget and pay.
Why are all these homeless people wearing InfoSec shirts?
Uh-huh. Well, you know, it's a common practice in pro sports. When you have the final, the World League or the champion of Dingleberries or whatever, they print up the T-shirts for both teams ahead of time that say, "We are the world champions."
And the loser, the ones that, they give them the homeless. And now they got
homeless people, or like people in Ethiopia. And you see people in Ethiopia wearing American sports jerseys and stuff. And, you know, it's the team that didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of a Frank story. So when I was younger, like you all know I'm nuts, right? My very first time I was in a nut hospital. Everyone was stealing my clothes. Like it was driving me nuts. I was 16. I was like bedridden, crazy. But all my shirts kept disappearing, my pants, everything. So I had like the same set of clothes on for like a week. And my uncle came to visit me. He was very distraught by this. So he coached basketball at like a school in Queens. So he got me like 500 jerseys of like all the they had like the names of the kids at his school, just so I'd have something to wear, right? Then the people in the psych ward stole those shirts, and everyone was walking around with like a basketball jersey from the same school. And somebody comes different friend comes to visit me. He's like, "What's up with all these people? Is there something in the water at that school?"
Oh man.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Off the hook.
Don't drink the water.
Pretty much.
They thought like a whole school's basketball team just happened to be in the children's psych ward.
Aw.
Well, that would at least make sports interesting again.
That would. I would.
Imagine a psych ward, basketball playoff. I mean, wow.
And then you hear this, the halftime song would be la 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 from the Lost Boys.
And this schizophrenic kid throws the basketball if somebody's not there.
Oh man.
Well, there was a scene in House when he voluntarily got himself locked up when they had all the crazy people playing basketball together.
Mm.
And House would like dribble up to the first guy and go, the CIA satellite is watching you because you're wearing green. And the guy would run off the court, and then he'd dribble up to the next person and go, yes, those pants do make you look fat. And that person would run off, and then he'd like walk up and like slam dunk it and go, this is easy.
Thou shalt not fall.
I love that movie.
Cry Little Sister.
One of the three best vampire films.
They've made so many remakes of that song, and they all suck.
Mhm.
The original is all there is. That's it.
That's one of the three best vampire films of the 80s. The other two would be Fright Night and Near Dark.
Yes. I
Near
love
Dark.
Fright Night.
Yeah. Ever seen Near Dark?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. All three of those are my favorite vampire films
Yeah.
of the 80s.
Especially with Fright Night when he said, "They'll never bother you again. Take my hand." And the evil just screams out, "Oh!"
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's actually the director of that movie was Tom Holland,
Oh wow.
which is the same name as the guy who's playing Spider-Man now.
Wow.
I mean, it's not the same guy. I thought he was very versatile.
Yeah, not the same guy because I don't think Tom Holland, who plays.
How did the
Spider-Man,
Screen
was
Actors
born
Guild
yet.
allow that to happen?
I didn't think he was born yet when that
Well,
came
I
out.
remember the Screen
Katy Perry had to change her original stage name from whatever the hell it was to Katy Perry. Perry was like her mom's maiden name because somebody already had her name as a whatever her legit name is.
I think the rules may be different if one's a director and one's an actor.
Oh.
That might be the difference.
Like they have a whole famous Hollywood thing where like you have to not use the same name as somebody else.
Oh, that's
Like,
the thing.
Michael is Michael J. Fox because there was already a Michael Fox.
And Michael,
No, he doesn't actually
Michael
have a
Douglas. Michael Keaton and Michael Douglas, one of those two had to change their name.
I don't think Charlie Sheen is his real name either.
Estevez is his real name.
As,
I
yeah.
think he changed it though, not because of maybe a conflict, because he didn't want to, ride on his father's coattails.
Hudson. Because he was
Well,
Catherine
actually,
Hudson.
no, Charlie Sheen is the one who changed his name. Emilio Estevez kept, I think, the original family name.
Yeah.
The original family name is Estevez
Charlie,
Gotcha.
because Charlie Sheen and what is it? Something Estevez are brothers.
Gotcha.
And Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen's, I think, original last name was Estevez.
yeah, Charlie's name was Carlos.
Carlos, okay. That'd be cool, Carlos Sheen.
All right, maybe we should get back to the show notes.
Yeah, we should.
So we've got a Mimecast certificate being hacked in a supply chain attack. So Mimecast issued a certificate to authenticate some companies' products to Microsoft 365 Exchange services, and that certificate was then stolen by a sophisticated threat actor. Mimecast provides email security services customers can apply to their Microsoft 365 accounts by establishing a connection to Mimecast servers first. Essentially, it's like a proxy certificate for your mail. So the certificate in question is used to verify and authenticate those connections, yada, yada, yada. Somebody got a copy of this certificate. Well, what can you do with it, right? That's the question. They haven't identified an exact nature and use case for this certificate, but there are two possibilities. If it's stolen, the certificate was used for a Mimecast customer to verify the validity of the server to their users. So essentially, you could pretend to be Mimecast and man in the middle somebody, right? That would work. The worst possibility is you could use the stolen certificate to authenticate from Mimecast to Microsoft 365. If that's the case, you have essentially nothing controlling limiting access. So you could use it to connect directly to Microsoft and access all of that customer's data. That would be bad. So yeah, that was stolen. That happens, right?
Well, I don't quite understand. I mean, you know, usually they're issuing unique certificates every time. Okay, that's what it's a certificate exchange. I mean, unless they got the private key for that, yeah, and it was, or they got, you know, it was an issuing certificate server that they were able to emulate.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not quite sure how it would work, but those are the two possibilities they mentioned in the article. So
That's why you set up multiple routes and cross validate them.
exactly. Next, we have NVIDIA warning Windows gamers that they really need to update their graphics drivers, even though they work, because they've got some really bad severity driver flaws in them. What are these driver flaws? We're going to find out. So there are 16 CVEs related to their older driver. The most severe of these is an issue in the graphics driver kernel mode layer. This is a 8.4 out of 10 on the CVSS scale, making it a very high severity. It opens your computer up to denial of service attacks, where a remote attacker can crash your computer just by being on the same LAN as you. They stomped out 4 medium severity graphics flaws as well, and some other kernel bullshit that needs to be resolved. Essentially, if you've got a slightly older NVIDIA graphics driver, possibly for one of their newer cards, maybe it's time to update that, because if you don't, bad things could happen, you know. So
Well,
fix it.
actually, they did. I read, about their latest update. Actually, lowered the clock, or at least the memory clock, on the newest, the 3000 series graphics cards. So your 3090, but you got 24 gig or whatever. You know, they're lowering the memory clock on, because it's the cards are freezing up, and they haven't got that thing tuned down correctly, and so they're to fix that. They have to lower their clocks. So people want to overclock it and stuff like that. When they update the driver, their overclock is reduced.
That's lame. I don't know why they would do that. And that's kind of like Apple going, hey, you got an older device, we're just going to downclock you because screw you.
Well, it's more like it's a brand new devices that just came out in the last quarter.
Yeah, why would they do that? That makes no sense.
Well, mainly because probably their silicon may have some flaws in it, and they can't. The memory can't handle, all the overclocking, or at least people running crypto miners or something like that, like running for doing Ethereum. It's freezing up when they're running it.
If somebody's going to be using their rig primarily to mine the cryptocurrency, they probably are clever enough to use an older driver on maybe a Linux distribution, right? They're probably going to figure that out. Your typical end users, though, are not going to be happy about their expensive graphics cards getting clocked down.
Well, AMD had similar issues with their previous gen. Now their new stuff, I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping up on the news on it, but the flaws have probably been worked out.
Right. Yeah. There's lots of people who are not going to be happy, I think, if they update their graphics driver and it makes their cards work less well.
Yeah, a $2,000 GPU, that you had to wait in line for. Yeah.
But at the same time, if there's a 0-day in your graphics card driver and you're exposing a port for whatever reason locally, and somebody can pop your machine because you've got a shitty graphics driver, that's not good either.
Or crappy firewall or whatever they, yeah.
So next we've got Space Force is now joining the U.S. intelligence community to secure outer space. Space Force. They totally stole the Starfleet logo. Which also, come on. That's Starfleet logo right there.
No, the Starfleet logo leans left.
Come on. It's a ripoff of it, and you know it.
It's close.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think this logo's been used since like the early '80s, where it was called, what was it, U.S. Space Command or something like that. I mean, the logo. People start blaming Trump for choosing the Star Trek logo, but the logo existed as some part of, I think, the Air Force since I think at least the early '80s.
So the USSF is a military service tasked with missions and operations in the space domain. The first new one established in the last 70 years, and after the establishment of the U.S. Air Force, is the first new intel element to join the IC, intelligence community, since 2006. The 18th member of the intelligence community, the Space Force, is going to join all the others that are there. I'm not going to read through them all, but and they're going to share efforts across all warfare domains, whatever the hell that means. So they're joining. Good for them. Maybe satellites getting hacked at DEF CON will still be a thing. We don't know. Ubiquity. All right. If you don't know what Ubiquity is, they make routers and shit like that and Wi-Fi equipment. And they make really good long-range, like Wi-Fi point-to-point stuff. If you're living in like a rural area and you want to get Wi-Fi from like a mile away, like a satellite dish type Wi-Fi beam type thing, they have all sorts of cool stuff. Anyway, They had a data breach recently, and they're telling their customers they got to change their passwords. A lot of these Ubiquity devices have a web management portal that connects through Ubiquity service. So if you want to remotely manage your device when you're on the road, you can do so. That database was apparently leaked, usernames and passwords. So yeah, if you use that equipment, time to change your password. Don't really need to go through much more of the article than that.
Well, I changed my password, but the management runs on a workstation. It runs locally, and I just turn it off and I don't use it. So it's not. There's no cloud connection on that thing.
On yours, but they have a whole crap ton of equipment.
Well, yeah, I when I crank it up, I just download some updates. I mean, I don't go to the UI.com and access data for my own network. You go
out to come back in. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can back up the config and just load it on the updates and on a new version or whatever. So it's not a big deal. And my stuff is not that sophisticated. So I mean, I don't have umpteen dozen SSIDs and everything else. So
yeah. Next, we got a pretty cool article. Sophisticated hacks against Android and Windows reveal a bunch of 0 days. Well, essentially 0 days people are using. So Google researchers detailed a major hacking campaign that was detected in early 2020, which mounted a series of sophisticated attacks, some using 0 days against Windows and Android platforms. Working together with Project Zero, Google Threat Analytics uncovered the attack, which performed by an apt. And they found two exploit servers delivering different exploits via a watering hole attack. That's where you know what a watering hole attack is. I don't have to explain that. One server targeted Windows users and the other targeted Android users. If you don't know what a watering hole attack is, it is where you target an organization's often used websites and inject them with malware, infecting and then gaining access to the victim's machines when they hit the infected website. So the team spent months analyzing these attacks, including examining the post-exploitation on the Android devices. And there were additional payloads that delivered device fingerprinting information, location data, and running processes. Yep. So, and then the article is going to go into the different exploits that were in use that at the time were 0 days. Now they're going to be like about a year-old bones. But interesting stuff if you are into that. So go check it out. Last but not least, in the regular InfoSec news section, we got Microsoft fixing a secure boot vulnerability that's been used to put rootkits on people's computers. So if you follow the ransomware groups, right, a bunch of them have found out ways to persist after the machine is wiped. I was just listening to something about this, particularly on Security Weekly earlier today, and I forgot what it was called. But Secure Block, it's in the UEFI firmware, right, and the TPM. I never trusted the trusted platform module. What does that really do? Anyway, rootkits, as you know, infect the ROM stuff on the motherboard, the boot files, the stuff that you can't, as a user, normally interact with or see, that allows your computer to turn on and do things and interact with the hardware, right? These kind of attacks can allow an attacker to have essentially a foothold into your computer even after you replace the hard drive completely, right? It's all in the firmware, so it's not a good kind of thing.
Yeah, the UEFI is an extended memory, a persistent memory for, for bias. But TPM is you're supposed to generate a certificate on that thing.
Yeah.
And it also can be used as a hardware security module if you know how to use it for that. There are people who actually use it for PKI stuff.
Yeah. So this latest update Microsoft put out, it's going to require 2 reboots if you're running Windows Defender Credential Guard, which I don't know anybody who is, but and also they did release the disclosure of a boot hole grub bootloader vulnerability back in July that would allow for a secure boot bypass. This addresses that as well. So, yep, Microsoft's trying to make it so maybe you cannot get these as easily. Look, it's going to be pretty freaking hard to install this, even if you got a root on somebody's. Like, say you got a shell on somebody's computer, you want to do a bootloader thing. That's a pain in the ass. You can't do it from user space. You have to have like physical access to do it properly. There might be ways like faking a firmware update and then rebooting. That's not easy, and you risk really screwing up the computer. I think if you want to really execute this kind of attack, you have to have like a thumb drive with your stuff already made for that kind of computer, and you have to. There's a lot of planning and shit goes into it. This is not like your typical everyday bad guy going to get crap on your computer, but Microsoft is helping protect against it.
Well, does Microsoft still turn off BitLocker when they're doing an update? I mean, because that was the old way to break into a encrypted.
I don't know. I hadn't heard about that.
Oh, I went to Microsoft and showed them on one of their computers. Oh, we got to do an update. Wow. Oh, I see you got BitLocker. Oh, let me do this. Boom, 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 boom. Oh yeah, I just broke your BitLocker. And this was after an hour. Telling how great the secure Windows 10 was. And I embarrassed those people. I don't think they invited me back.
And you did it right then. All right, I'm going to go quickly through the data breaches. I'm not going to read all of them, or at least I'm not going to read the articles for all of them. Sometimes the title will suffice. There's a data breach at the company that made Resident Evil. All right, that's the first one. Hacker sells Aurora cannabis files stolen from the Christmas cyber attack. That's the second one. Hacker leaks stolen Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine data online. That's interesting. That one we're actually going to read. So, the European Medicine Agency today revealed that some of the Pfizer/BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine data stolen from its servers in December was then leaked online. EMA is a decentralized agency that they are responsible for reviewing and approving COVID vaccines in the UK, in the EU, and supervising any new medicines introduced. We actually covered the original story a few months ago when they were breached, but now that data has leaked online, which it's on, of course, everyone's favorite. That's, if you can't tell, that's raid forums. That's like the most popular place to go if you want to grab leaked data and maybe spend like $10 to grab a bunch of crap you're going to download and throw in a folder and forget about. Yep. So
that's no fun.
Well, we have to have it, but we never get time to examine it.
I have
goes
that
on the
exact
storage
problem.
drive for later, and then later never comes.
I found that by accident when I was cleaning up one of my storage arrays. I found like this ridiculously huge data dump from like 3 years ago, and I never even touched. I felt so bad.
I've got the same issue. Don't worry.
That's why when I go grabbing stuff, I grab stuff that I know is going to be interesting to me, that I know I'm not going to forget about the next time I take a dump, you know?
So I was doing a project for a while. I'd set up an Elasticsearch server with Kibana on the front end, and I was using Logstash, and I was feeding breach data into it, right? And I'd format my breach data so it was just username, password, and or email password, right? And I didn't care about all the other stuff, so I formatted a bunch of tables and I fed it tons and tons of data till it got so big that I needed to adjust the RAM for the Elasticsearch thing. And I did that, and I got it to start back up, and then I broke it again by feeding it even more data. I got it so big that it was about 4 terabytes, and Elasticsearch no longer would run with 128 gigs of RAM. So I was like, well, fuck, I don't know enough about Elasticsearch to fix this. So now it just sits on a disk gathering dust with like hundreds of thousands of data breaches just sitting in that database.
So you didn't test them to see if they were usable or not?
I did.
Oh.
I mean, I of course tested with my own credentials. I wouldn't test somebody else's, you know.
Well, I mean, you know, that would save you some storage space. you just do a quick log in, log out. It was successful. Yeah, keep that one. Otherwise, throw it away.
Depends on the service, though. People use the same password on multiple services. So
true. I used to raid music collections using Google Dorks, and that was always fun until my music collection just got way out of control.
Yeah, I had a bunch of MP3s for a long time on a external drive. I brought it with me from like house to house and move to move, and it was only like a 40 gig drive, but I could have easily moved all those files onto something else, but I just kept bringing it with me. Thing never died. Eventually, I uploaded them all to Google Play back when that was a thing, and then you said the Google Play Music would let you store all your MP3s there and not even have a subscription, and you could stream them to wherever you were, wherever you wanted. And they started wanting money.
What was the back end on that? Say, did they just like scan your files to go, do you own a legitimate copy of this?
It appears to me that they actually uploaded the real MP3 with the metadata, because the album covers are still just as effed up when I uploaded it as they were when I had them on my local device, where about 30 different albums had the graphic for Marilyn Manson's 1996 song.
If you ever want to have a hardcore great weekend, get a bottle of really cheap vodka and Picard.
And Picard?
Yeah.
You mean the show?
No, the program that goes through and it identifies all and tags all of your music.
Oh, I don't have any MP3s anymore. They're all uploaded. I don't even know if I can get them back, because now I converted those to a Google Play Music from to YouTube music, and I don't even know what the hell format they put those in now.
Okay, well, I mean, this thing handled all my stuff. It handled all my FLAC stuff that I did 1-to-1 with my little robotic, CD ripper, and the stuff that I had downloaded. It was by a company called Music Brains, and it's like you could go insane trying to get this thing to work right. You never know what label or what image or what anything you're going to get with anything. It's like you get AC/DC's Dirty Deeds, and you hit it, and it would be like Mozart's Fourth Symphony or something.
Oh, I remember that shit. It would find like the wrong metadata for an album and then tag everything incorrectly.
Yep.
I've played with stuff like that. I was a big Winamp fan back in the day. I used to rip my own crap with one of those CD Ripper programs that would go online and find the metadata from the CD. But every now and like, say you burnt your own CD with like mixed songs, it would try and identify it based on, I guess, the file length or something. But it would get them all wrong. And
you get that one directory called various artists that had 50 million MP3s in it.
Some random shit in there. Oh, Handgun Pro 2 minutes ago said he's been an Irongeek fan since 2006. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
He obviously never met you in person. No, just kidding.
I people in person usually is okay. It's the people who only know me from Twitter and have never actually talked to me on Twitter directly. Sometimes they find me already blocked before they've ever interacted with me because I see them say something annoying or like a tweet I find annoying. But thanks, man.
I met you at the San Antonio B-sides.
Okay.
I don't remember where the hell I met you in person the first time, but I've seen you at a bunch of cons. And I didn't say hello to you every now and then. I get like free drink tokens.
Drinking, what a good idea.
Drinking at a con. That's what you should be doing right now.
Can't do that anymore.
Well, I can drink at home and watch con videos. So
there you go. Yeah, it's against the terms of service to drink at a con anymore.
I'm a big fat dude, so I don't like when I'm at a con and they have like tiny chairs right next to each other.
Yes.
I'll be like that fat dude standing in the back with my backpack, just like holding it down with beer.
The best part of that for me is I have my own chair wherever I go now. I don't have to worry about the chairs being too small or there not being enough chairs. My chair goes where I go.
That is true.
And I can seriously put a seriously big pile of beer inside of the backpack and strap it to the back of my chair and just.
I think we need to combine your chair with a mini fridge for cons.
Well, the problem with the mini fridge is the amperage.
Oh.
That's the real dog because it won't run very long and it does have a little counterbalance and a weight issue. Yes, I have tried.
I got it. We'll just put in a thermoelectric coupling and then we'll have one side cold, one side hot, right? And then
like the old remember CokeBot?
Yeah.
Like you had an R2D2 thing, and then each leg had a 6-pack.
Well, if you got like a keg, you can keep that cold with a couple of.
You can definitely keep it like a pony keg.
A lot of voltage or amperage.
Get a Yeti. What are the a Yeti hopper? That you can keep stuff cold in a hot trunk all day long.
Cool thing about TECs you might not know is you can actually generate power with them. Not a lot, but essentially you just need to create a difference between cold and hot. So do like some ice cubes, put it on top, and maybe something hot on the bottom. And that difference in temperature between the two, if you actually measure with like a voltmeter on the wires, which it's like a little square thing and 2 wires sticking out, it will generate a little bit of power.
Are these things made of unobtainium or something?
It's ceramics, but it's just the way the power works through it.
No, I'm not talking about these Yeti coolers. Like $250 for a backpack cooler. What is this business? $300. This reminds me of getting a Boboli backpack back in the 2000s.
Well, they keep them cold for like 24 hours and stuff.
Yeah, but would you pay $300 for a cold beer?
Well, not a single cold beer, but
yeah.
But I do. I have spent quite a bit of money on stuff to keep my stuff cold. I mean, so yeah. I mean, if you get a Yeti hopper, you can load that thing up and You put in some cold packs in it. You get it, way below freezing, and you're good.
Yeah.
I know these are a thing. I've played with them before. I'm probably getting my initials wrong. I could have sworn it was TECs, but
Didn't they use that stuff at the Cool Your Beer Down contest at DEF CON?
they're what's in like coolers. If you want like cold water, like a water cooler, it's how the water cooler keeps your shit cold without using a shit ton of power.
Well, I mean, at the old house, I got a thing that you can put ice in it, and it has a hose, and it will send the chilled water through the hose, and you can wrap it, or it's supposed to be for like if you have a hip operation or knee operation, but you can wrap it around a bunch of beers and get that thing ice cold.
It's these little suckers, thermoelectric plates, Peltier modules. They're really cool to play with.
Yeah.
From like an electronic standpoint, they're super cheap. I was fooling with these a few years ago, and I got like a heat sink from an old computer, and I got a candle, and I was making enough power to turn on a calculator with 2 of these and that stupid setup. So
I don't know if we'll ever get through all these show notes.
Or not. It's fine. It's just how I get you guys to stick around while I talk about stupid shit.
Well, also considering I'm out in Vegas, it's going to be hot anyway, so those thermocouplers might be useful.
Yeah. So essentially, you'd be able to generate power with ice, the melting of the ice and the heat on the other end.
What about we're using dry ice?
That'd be cool to try.
Well, you got to freeze the carbon dioxide.
Well, you can just buy it. You can buy dry ice at the grocery store.
Yeah,
hydrogen and that rig they used on contest lull.
Oh yeah, now not liquid nitrogen would do the job, but little hazardous right there.
Yeah, you don't want to use
the plus side is you can keep a bunch of fruit with you and like throw bananas at people after they've been dunked in liquid nitrogen. Watch them freak out.
If it can burn off a wart, you don't want to get in contact with it.
Yeah.
So next we got the New Zealand bank suffers a data breach via a storage partner. This is what happens. You trust other people with your data, and they're not very good with it. Before you know it, your client data is out on raid forums. So, yeah, they took the storage system offline, but it's already too late. So that's what happened in New Zealand, and also Nissan, man. Nissan, they had their source code leaked again. They also did an admin. Fucking idiots.
Oh, fun.
So this was 20 gigs of data, source code for mobile apps and various Nissan tools used for diagnostics, client acquisition, market research, and their Nissan Connect services. It's unclear whether or not they figured it out themselves or they got a tip first, but they took down their insecure server, and the media outlets then started publishing news of the incident. It was complete Git repos, so we have yet another GitHub server configured with admin. At this point, I'm thinking maybe whoever is distributing GitHub servers for local instances should put in there, change the fucking admin password, you moron, into documentation.
Or you do it.
If a person is stupid enough to use admin, they're stupid enough to put in admin when the system tells them to change it.
I don't think it tells you to change it. That's why we're seeing 2 articles in the same week about.
No, if you're just that fundamentally dumb enough to use admin, period, no warning's going to help you.
Well, no. So what you do is I think it was Athene IRCD did back in the day was it actually had an option in the configuration you had to change before you started it. Like if you tried to start it with it out of the box,
first login you would have to change it.
No, it wouldn't even start. The daemon would go, "Oh, you have this configuration still enabled," and then it would shut down. You couldn't even start the daemon with it because it basically forced you to go in there and actually do something.
It's probably a container image or instance that they're distributing. That's why it's set for default.
Yeah, it could be a container thing. Those are popular. Next, we've got anti-security activists published a trove of ransomware victims' data. And these are the DDoS secrets guys who some ransomware groups have contacted and given data to that they've stolen from companies. And these guys don't care, and they're just going to publish it as it is without redacting anything. WikiLeaks at least tried to redact some things, but these guys are just like, yeah, all of it out there. What we got, you got. Yep, you can go on their website and find a torrent file, download it, have fun with it. Yep, all that's out there.
Okay, so they got videos of aliens eating the livers of children or something like that, you know?
I don't think that's the kind of data they stole from companies, unless companies were in the business of producing those kind of videos.
Yeah.
And they
Well,
stole.
somebody's going to do it.
I mean, somebody's got to do it. I mean, look, it's Rule 34 at this point. It's going to exist.
Yeah.
And there's going to be porn of it. It's just how it works.
I'm surprised there isn't more alien porn out there.
You just have to look harder.
But I mean, the thing is, you would think aliens that are even close to being near us on the evolutionary tree should have invented porn by now. And so prolifically that it would be just there, you know, it would just be out there.
Maybe they did.
I mean, imagine the first broadcast you hear from an alien life form, and it's like a porn broadcast.
How would you know it's porn, though? I mean, their biology might be so different that you can't tell it's something sexual.
And then you meet them and you think that's how you're supposed to treat them.
It's like that episode of South Park where Earth gets canceled, and you know they meet the Jewsians, and they're sucking their jagons or whatever, and it was like, what the fuck? And it was like, no, it's something sexual to them. But we don't know that because it's not human physiology, not even close to being on Earth.
But there's only so many ways of interpreting insert tab A and slot B. You know?
Well, what if it's not? What if they don't do that? I mean, not all creatures do that.
True. I mean, there are Republicans out there.
No, I mean, birds don't do that. I mean, lizards don't do that. Lots of sea life don't do that. So,
don't even get into how the otters do it.
Lizards have hemipenes, meaning they have.
What about platypuses? How do they do it? Because those things.
They do, well, they lay eggs. So, but hemipenes they have two penises.
Wish I had two penises.
Actually, I know someone who has two penises, but only as a technicality, because they had the one they had split down the middle.
Uh-oh.
That doesn't sound like fun.
Well, it's interesting because you got two of them at the same time. I mean, you know, you can get all Scottish about
well,
it.
that's you're talking about I think it's diaphilism is the term, or diphalism or something like that, where you have two separate penises. It's actually like a medical condition.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but I mean, like even amongst mammals, there's differences. There's differences in mating habits and such. I mean, again, look at birds. I mean, they fertilize eggs. So, and of course,
yeah, double penis, a rare genetic condition.
Yep.
Let's go for the pictures. I miss Rotten.com.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mentioned it because I knew lizards had it, and you know, if you're talking about birds like chickens, well, that's just rape culture, okay? I mean, if they...
I'll be right back. Will you guys talk about birds fucking?
Well, I mean, I used to raise birds, and I learned that I had to be, if I had, a mixed half and half, all the roosters would jump on one hen, and basically that hen would not survive if I didn't keep them separated. And that was with pheasants. Pheasants are horrible about that.
Aren't ducks the same way?
I didn't have a problem with ducks or geese, and ducks and geese seem to pair up. And geese
Geese are just a pain in the ass. They're just evil on wings, man.
Oh, I got along with them. You know,
Speaking of evil, Delchi.
Yes, sir.
You recommended this crap to me. It is bad. What is wrong?
I did not. I said I use it.
You said it was good.
I thought, good. And look at me. Look what's on my screen right now.
A clock.
Yeah, take a good close look at the clock.
I can't. It's too small.
Ah, well, there you go.
That's what she said.
Why? What did it taste like? Fermented monkey piss to you or something?
It doesn't taste good.
Which one did you get?
I got chocolate.
Yeah, see, it doesn't taste great, but it's not horrible.
You said it tasted good.
What
It
are you
did-
trying to
I
do?
really like the taste of it. It's
Did you just make it the way they tell you to, with like 2 cups of milk and the powder?
yeah.
Well, you got to put other shit in there too, you know.
I've tried that. It's
What,
not very good.
what are you trying to do? What is it?
It's just a protein drink powder that it kicked the fuck out of my blood sugar. It may put it back to normal again.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like my blood sugar to be normal.
Yep, I've been in the hundreds for like 2 weeks now, like between 90 and 105.
I'm jealous of you in that regard.
Just
Now
go,
you can see a better up close picture of my clock now.
just go carnivore.
Yeah, that's what I did. I use that stuff, and I have a carnivore, like a all protein diet. Notice the color and the pattern of the clock.
I see. I think cats and a 666.
Okay, well, the background is blue, and it has a waffle pattern on it, so it's a blue waffle clock.
Oh, blue waffle clock.
And it has, at the top where 12 noon should be, it has the roulette 00. And then it's 13, 69, and 666.
So that's not a very good, useful, functional clock.
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you want people to look at your blue waffle clock and say it's 666 o'clock, it's very useful.
Alrighty then. Moving forward, Colombian energy and metal firms are under fire in a new Trojan attack wave. When I say these titles, if you're not like an InfoSec person and you hear that, you just like imagine a bunch of freaking Trojan like dudes in helmets like running with their swords, like you're under attack. But no, not that exciting.
Yeah.
So
But you notice that it's all done by sophisticated attackers. They never say,
never
some
a bunch of
random
strict
12-year-old hopped up on Mountain Dew, violated our security today. Film at 11.
It was Venezuelans.
Those Operation Spalax, according to ESET. That's what they're calling it. They got to give it a cool name, right? So in a blog post, they said government and private entities in Colombia are being exclusively targeted by this threat actor who has a particular interest in the energy and metallurgy industries. And at least 24 IP addresses, each one of them representing a victim, has been located. In some samples, okay, so they've got like a PDF file they probably get from a BEC campaign, right? When you open the PDF file, it links to a RAR archive. If you are stupid enough to download that RAR file, which is located usually on OneDrive, MediaFire, or something like that, an executable file will trigger the malware. How the hell that works logistically, I'm not sure. If they found a vulnerability in the RAR file format that you can get it to automatically execute something, or if there's just like an executable file in a RAR file linked in a PDF file, which would be a really stupid but possibly effective way to get a user to download and execute something. The threat actors use a selection of droppers and packers to deploy their payloads, and the purpose being to execute a rat and inject it into a legitimate process. So process hollowing. The 3 payloads are all available commercially, and so these are like shit you can buy off the shelf. These are not somebody sitting there for 8 hours trying to get their interpreter payload to work right on a Windows system and screaming at the top of their lungs, "Dave Kennedy, why doesn't Unicorn bypass MC anymore?" Maybe. So yeah, the first one's Remcos, which is cheap $58 malware. The second is NJRat, which is like everywhere. You can find it on Pastebin. And yep. I also got Async Rat, which you can find. It's a cheap remote access tool. So they're using off the shelf stuff. And saying this in an app is like saying that I don't know, Irongeek is What is something Adrian is not? Sexy. There we go. All right. And we got a whole bunch of crap on SolarWinds. Look, SolarWinds was bad. What's happening? I hear tape.
Oh, that was me. I'm taking my pants off.
I don't know if we'll go through all that SolarWinds stuff, man. Surely this
They're
has
not going through it all. They're gonna
to be in someplace.
look. So there's the Solar Leaks site. That's the big thing, right? Solar Leaks came online a few days ago, and this is what it looks like. Was it .net? I forget. We'll see. Yep, this is it. It's just a text file being hosted on a web server somewhere. Probably. It links to a bunch of torrent files that you can download. No, I'm sorry, they're files on Mega, right? And they're encrypted. So if you download them, you're just going to let them sit on your computer for a while and hope eventually a key comes to light. But they're selling access to this crap, and they are claiming they've got a whole bunch of cool shit, including Microsoft source code for like Windows 10, Cisco products, internal source code, also SolarWinds products, including Orion's.
Do you have your SolarWinds T-shirt yet?
I don't have any SolarWinds swag.
Ah, check out the private chat.
The private chat. All right, to minimize this.
Yeah,
Private chat.
I'm so glad I did not buy anything from SolarWinds. They would call me like once a week.
You know what? I'm going to put that up in the cast because that's funny. SolarWinds, global leader in remote access. That's funny on a great level because
this is actually in a series of shirts I've done. If you look at the other ones,
great.
You scroll down, you'll see there's one for Equifax.
Scroll down where there's
right there, right underneath the word 2. Just scroll right down a little further. See those 3 black boxes? The middle one. There you go.
Very good.
And there's an NSA one that says the global leader in distributing hacker tools since 2017.
That's funny. You got a lot of global leaders there, man.
I think I downloaded their toolkit.
Yeah, look, the rest of the stuff. SolarWinds hired Chris Krebs and Alex Stamos. They're both really important InfoSec people, so it's good that they hired them. I don't think they're really going to make much of a difference in the DFIR investigation, other than being a big profile name attached to it.
Did you see the quote that they threw back at them, where SolarWinds had said no one under any circumstances should ever self-investigate a breach? Hire us to do it, and then they did their own self-investigation of their breach.
You know, I freaking brought up that point like 8 casts ago when this shit happened. Well, not 4 casts, maybe 4 casts ago. I literally was ranting about that exact point right there. Also, JetBrains is like, we have nothing to do with the SolarWinds supply chain hack. Good for them. And the U.S. judiciary adds safeguards after potential breach in SolarWinds hack, which means they probably hired someone to actually do some security. And Mandia, as in the guy who started Mandiant, said a severity 0 attack, alert rather, led to them figuring out that SolarWinds was doing bad things. And also, we know SolarWinds hackers were using password guessing to breach targets, which, considering there was a freaking file with passwords in it accessible on their FTP server, it's not all that interesting. Next thing I think is really cool. Everyone uses PSExec who's ever done like Windows networking. If you're like a sysadmin and you're lazy and you don't want to go to all your computers, you probably installed PSExec on a bunch of them at some point. Well, there's a 0-day in PSExec now. Well, that's great. This is a computer that you've previously installed the PSExec service on. That service stays on there even after you've stopped using it, right? And now there's a local privilege escalation vulnerability with PSExec, where essentially if it's installed on your computer and you want to go from being regular user to admin user, you can do that without having to have credentials. It's just a named pipe impersonation attack, which is like named pipe attacks are great. They're kind of a go-to. So if you got a machine that's got PS exec on it, that they put out a micro patch for this. You can update it so that it can no longer be used for local PerVesc. It's not a super complicated attack, but it's a useful thing if you're doing Windows privilege escalation, maybe on a exam. Like an exam they might give you to test if you're a good hacker. Maybe one where you have to hack like 5 boxes in a night or something. I don't know. Next, we've got Google's speech text API can help attackers easily bypass Google's reCAPTCHA. We don't care. We know. We've been building schemes to screw over reCAPTCHA for a while.
And by the way, I was taught when I was learning PowerShell to always remove the instance after you got done using it. So I don't know why this stuff stays persistent. You're supposed to script that in.
Yeah, but you know how many sysadmins just run a psexec command on a real computer and then that's it? It's like they run it and now they don't realize the service is there and it's never coming off. It's really common.
I was actually taught this. So, it's like, I studied Code Complete when I was writing code. I mean,
when I took the Microsoft Certified Professional for Windows Server 2000, they taught us to use psexec and they never taught us to take it off.
Well, let's see. I got so many of those certifications now. Which is now they're now defunct. So because they wanted to go everything to go to Azure. But, I was it was like everything. Okay, now you remove the instance, and so they can't you can't access the Exchange server anymore. Which you that's what you want to do, and it's built in. Is you're supposed to do that. And so I'd always keep my little, PS1s and and I could run an auto exec, a PS exec, and then, remove the stuff and I'm done. I'm happy.
Yeah. Darren, are you the one who is doing research into botnets and stuff?
I mean a little bit, but not like a lot. Why? Is there anything more specific you're looking at, or?
No, there was somebody a while back. They had posted a bunch of botnet stuff for us. I forget who it was.
That's probably Caprico, because I know he does a lot of that stuff with botnets and Docker and Kubernetes.
Yeah, that was Caprico.
I'm more dealing with like spam and phishing and that kind of shit and things like that.
Gotcha. This one is essentially an article that's saying that there's a crypto mining botnet and now it's stealing Docker and AWS creds, which is pretty cool. How it's doing it, I'm not exactly sure, but it's a nice improvement on their past attempts, and it's a refinement. That's cool. So of course we've got the Docker API endpoints being exposed, being a big bad no. But this is also somehow stealing credentials, which is cool. Yeah. Look, we're almost done. We're gonna go through all this crap, but we got DarkSide ransomware. If you got that on your computer, there's now a decryptor for it. Go get it. You can get your shit back. And malware authors who are targeting Linux distributions are using Golang cryptor function so that they don't get detected. It's built in if you have Golang. Mac malware is using run-only Apple scripts to evade analysis. That's kind of cool. Same concept, different platform. And scammers extort site, essentially living off the land type stuff, right? And scammers are extorting site owners using porn backlinks threat. I was like, what's a porn backlinks threat? That's just what I got to know. So I need you to leave a 5-star review for us, and I'd also like us to share our posts on social media channels. I'm giving you 48 hours. If I don't not see a 5-star review from you and at least 2 likes and shares on channels, I'm going to send millions of porn backlinks to bleepingcomputer.com, which will completely kill off your site. I sent a few dozen spam links to your site already. You have to look. I will remove those once I see these good reviews. This is what it looks like. Yeah. The people over at Coin MAGA, who was like the thing that they're asking them to link about, said they're not responsible for this. Maybe it's an attack on their brand. There's a fucking
Coin Mama.
It's stupid. Oh, whatever.
I mean, it could be a reverse attack. It could also be. I think when they say porn backlinks, they probably like are gonna put links to your site in like Pornhub videos, something like that. Just kind of go like, oh, like you're spamming on porn sites and shit like that. That's just maybe
false flag attack.
Yeah.
There's an article on Dark Reading if you're interested in malware developers. Talks about them getting better tools. And also, there's a good article about the 3 most common types of business email compromise attacks. Not going to read them because they're boring. WhatsApp is going to disable your account if you don't agree with their new privacy and sharing policy, which means they can share all your stuff with Facebook. And a lot of people don't like that. As a result, they're kind of migrating over to Signal. And Signal says they have now fixed verification delays that were caused by all these people exiting WhatsApp and coming over to Signal. Good. Signal's better anyway. Hackers used ransomware to lock victims out of their IoT chastity belt, which is one of those stunt hacks that I find hilarious. So we got hacker.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's funny.
Ransomware a chastity belt. Why your chastity belt would be hooked up to the internet? I don't know.
Well, there's an IoT one I've seen. It's like really.
Have you been researching chastity belts a lot lately?
Do you want me to answer that question? Because I will.
Answer that question.
Yeah.
Why are you researching chastity belts?
Because I'm a kinky motherfucker. That's why.
I'm also a kinky motherfucker.
Amen.
Chastity belts.
You know what? That gets a round of applause. That really, it really. I mean, bravo.
Well,
In this day and age, to come out and say I am a kinky motherfucker, that takes some cojones.
Well, they sell that stuff on Amazon. Okay. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go to sexual health, and there it is. You want to see your chastity spiky things, and
Hell, just get a log on to Wish a couple times.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many Chinese copies of successful designs like the CB3000, CB6000. Those are some of the most like known ones out there, and there's thousands of Chinese copies of them that are usually really crappy.
Yeah, the little plastic spiky things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty funny. So remote attackers can lock these things. It's stupid, but it's funny. They're Bluetooth.
It's also profitable.
I imagine I'd want to get that off my junk and just send them some Bitcoin.
I mean, just outside of hacking, it's profitable.
Well, I mean, okay, I know that these devices are, I mean, the basic ones are pretty cheap because it's just a hunk of plastic. This has actually got electronics in it. I'm curious.
I like the source code here. The body message. Haha, I have your cock now. Send 0.02 Bitcoin to, and then it has the variables for the wallet address, buy, and then the time, or you'll be locked forever. I imagine there's some poor schmuck who actually took this seriously and thought he was going to get that thing off unless he sent them Bitcoin.
I mean, I can understand why you'd be hesitant to cut it because I'm actually looking at their website. They're $170. So, yeah.
I like this article. Some of them fell victim to the attacker multiple times. Wait a minute.
Well, how are you going to explain to your internet girlfriend that you had to have your chastity device, your IoT chastity device, cut off? I mean, it's a hard sell.
Yeah, I like this comment. Joke's on you, hacker. If you use it, you're into it. That's why no one paid. Complain as part of the game.
Yeah, really.
If you guys remember Craigslist when they had the ads and everything else, and when you mentioned Kik, well, that is
Oh yeah.
you know, they actually you were able to do those sexual devices. You could exchange information and connect your hooby doobies and do it through Kik.
Yep.
And so
And I thought the couples bracelets connected to your phone via Bluetooth were kinky.
I always enjoyed the little eggs where you put the eggs up into Happy Land and you walk around with the remote control, triggering them off every once in a while. There's some videos of couples doing that on YouTube I saw.
kind of the same thing, yeah.
We're all going to hell. All right. How law enforcement gets around your phone encryption should be an interesting read. I mean, it's unwired, so it's not going to be very technical, but still.
They go to the Israelis and they buy their shit from Stolabrite. Wow, there's a story.
Let's see if it says anything different than that. Yep.
Just do a Control F Celebrite and be done with it.
There we go. Hey, oh!
I am
Schools
the
are
man.
buying that shit too. That's what's scary. Why does the school need that? Why do they need to go through your kids' phones and break their decryption with?
Because of Steubenville.
Because it's safety. It's for the children.
Yep.
It's for the children, yeah.
Yeah.
I would not want the school going through my kid's phone if I had one.
Because they have a nanny
Let the
state.
kid have
If you
the
have-
privacy of his own phone.
Yeah,
Because
Adrian
we're-
has it right. Exactly. We have a nanny state.
Because we have a nanny state, and also the government wants to raise your kids instead of you.
Yeah.
That's my
Cool.
scenario.
Now that's one side of it, okay? And I grant you that is legit. You are completely 100% legit. On the other hand, you get the kids who are the targets of Chester the molester and the assholes who are like, hey, take a picture of your hoo-hoo and send it to me. And they use their phone to do that, and the school figures that out. And next thing you know, Chester's in Pimpta, playing touch your toes instead of playing tiddlywinks.
Yeah, I see the point. That's probably more of a job for the parents to do. I have a friend who has a daughter, and apparently, I don't know what they were chatting on, but apparently they have a lot of Chester the molesters talking to him, and the daughter is not necessarily, let's say,
Brilliant.
experienced enough to realize, no, you really shouldn't be talking to these people.
Mm-hmm. Well, parenting is a problem in this country, period, end of story.
Yeah.
So, that's always going to be a problem. But if you've got a pedo that's focused on a school or, something like that, yeah.
I'd probably get some flack for this, but if I had a daughter,
I would see if they got a warrant, if they had like a reasonable cause and a warrant, I could say, okay. Not just generically scanning the school and looking at what's going back and forth. In their phone.
The second you give the school one of these Celebrate devices and give them the ability to unlock any kid's phone, they're just going to be using it to give kids attention for stupid shit. And you'd be like, oh, well, somebody sent a message while they were in class to somebody else. Give me both your phones. And then they go and some asshole looks through everybody's shit. It's some perv in the school is going to be fucking sitting there.
That'll give them good training for real life.
yeah, if I had an adolescent daughter, two things I would do, and I'll get some flack for this. I would probably try my best to monitor what chats are going on, and I would also block Tumblr.
Oh, fuck yeah. And Vox.
I know Vox. Yeah. I know Vox probably has an effect on the brains of adults, but I don't know how many kids who would actually want to read Vox.
Right. So you guys know how to tool everything on Windows?
Yeah, well, let me ask you something about smartphones. Now they've had Linux phones out. Is that, in the upcoming purge apocalypse, would it be better to get a Linux phone or, have to be slaves to Google and Apple?
Well, the biggest problem with the Linux phones is the audio doesn't work.
You want your audio to work on a phone usually.
Well, I mean, I guess they got a few different ones. Graphene is one. There's a Manjaro phone. There's Pine OS or something like that. Those are three phones that are notable.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I think everybody ought to just go back to BlackBerry and be done with it. But you know,
They're not in business anymore.
You know, if we're gonna go backwards to BlackBerry, let's go backwards to Sidekick, because that was an awesome system and a really cool
I
device.
had one of those. That was a toy, man.
I love that. I still have my Sidekick, and Bill Gates killed it. So you know, piss in his champagne tonight.
Yep. Next item. We got to get through the show notes so that Adrian can go to bed or maybe drink. We have how to integrate everything search in Windows 10 taskbar. So they got a GitHub project now where you can download it and pop it and add it into your toolbars, right? And you get a little toolbar where you can use the everything search functionality. If you don't know about everything, it's freaking awesome. You want to find something really, really quick. It indexes all your files very quickly in the background, and then you can, find out where your files are. Let's by like you type the file name, and it shows you where the hell it is, without having to do a full search each time. And the index constantly rebuilds, and it's a great freaking tool if you deal with a lot of files. You don't know where the hell you put things. It's great. So I recommend it. In the past, it had some vulnerabilities. They fixed that shit. I recommend you run it as a Windows service so that it does not bother you for admin rights every time your computer starts up. Good tool. Play with it. If you don't know about it, find out about it. Also, Windows 10 is now getting some Google Discover-like news recommendations. So if you have like an Android phone, they got that Google Discover thing where you can look at all these cool news articles that are tailored to websites you've visited before. In other words, Google just creeping on you, knowing everything about you, and then sending you articles they think you'll like. Not creepy at all. Well, now Microsoft Windows is going to do the same freaking thing without you asking. Also, Windows 10, Windows subsystem for Linux can now run shit at startup without you needing to log in and start it up. So it's like services at startup type shit. Political crap. Biden appointed a cybersecurity advisor, and no, it wasn't her.
Okay. No.
Fired healthcare exec stalls critical PPE shipment for months because he's a dick.
Okay. So he just did it for revenge for being fired?
Yeah. There's a whole article about it. It was on Threadpost, ironically. It's like not the place you'd expect that article, but still interesting. So this healthcare exec, the FBI is investigating him, and he pled guilty. He is sentenced to a year in prison because he temporarily disabled the Stratus Healthcare shipping system by using a secret account weeks after being fired. So,
Play
right now
stupid
they're
game.
rationing PPE because they don't have enough at that place.
it must not be that secret if he was, if he, he should have been smart enough to cover his tracks. I mean,
The company's operations ground to a halt, and disruptions continued for months.
yeah, well,
He logged into some system he had access to, and he disabled shipping. I don't know if this is shipping stuff out from this company to other companies or the other way around, but regardless, it prevented people from getting PPE.
yeah, well, he wasn't that smart. He got caught.
Well, no one
Yeah.
said he was that smart. But
They also obviously have shit outboarding processes,
yeah. A lot of companies don't use individual accounts for users or like even tile your shit together under SAML. We get a lot of companies that have like shared accounts where like this is the account to do this function and having like a spreadsheet somewhere on a shared drive. And that's how things are done. I've worked at companies like that and I've yelled at them, but it's not going to change anytime soon.
It's
And
called
people leave,
littering.
and it's like, well, do we bother changing all these passwords? And the answer usually is no. So
And how about making them get YubiKeys?
YubiKeys are awesome. Look, this is my YubiKey, all right? I love this little sucker. It
Yep.
didn't come with a regular USB interface. It's USB-C, but I got a little adapter. So if my computer does not have USB-C, I can plug this shit right in.
There's mine.
YubiKey. Oh, there's a YubiKey. The way to clone YubiKeys, but it's a pain in the fucking ass. You have to open it up, right? And then you have to attach like little wires to it on the GPIO pin type things, and then you can clone it. But then the original, how the hell are you going to put that back together and then give it to somebody to use every day? now that you've dremeled it off. It's
You
like
make 2 clones.
you could make 2 good clones. Yeah.
And then you take the one clone you want to give back to the guy, and you put it in the dryer with a pair of jeans for 10 minutes. And then it'll look just scuffed up enough to pass muster.
That's a good idea, actually. I've never had my YubiKey go through the dryer. I hope it would live.
Well, you don't. What you do, you put it on air fluff, so it doesn't generate heat.
Yeah.
And
I mean, a lot of my electronics have gone through the dryer. Like I have these went through the dryer and they don't work anymore. I'm gonna take them up. They're like little cheap earpods, imitation AirPods, whatever the fuck you call them. I went through the dryer. They don't work anymore. So
get a syringe with DMSO and liquid LSD, and wipe the inside of them down, then leave them at a bus station.
And then what?
Leave them at a bus station.
Why?
Because someone will steal them, put them in their ears, and then have the DMSO put the LSD straight into their bloodstream.
Yeah, that's DMSO allows skin transfer of substances. It can be dangerous.
It's a universal solvent. Look up the song. There's a song about it that Jello Biafra did when he talks about painting payphones.
Yeah, where the hell would I get 1 DMSO or 2 LSD? There's not like a freaking chemical plant I can go to and be like, I would like some LSD and DMSO, please.
Well, it's produced by paper plants. It's a byproduct of the wood pulp process. Okay, and it's used by veterinarians, I think, for horses.
Dimethyl sulfide liquid, $13.70. Free Prime delivery, January 15th.
That's right. You can buy it on Amazon.
Yeah, but that's fucked up.
I mean, you can go on the dark web and buy your DSL or whatever, LDS. Yeah.
You guys are nuts.
Oh, I'm right next to Utah. I get all the LDS I want for free.
Yeah.
What the hell is LDS? Is that like the other way of saying it?
No. The LDS is the Mormons,
Yeah.
Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints. We get enough LDS out here.
But let me tell you, DMSO stinks. Okay, it has a stank to it. So just it's not.
Shit.
It smells like kind of poopy.
Intimate area dark spot corrector. Wow, there's a lot of crazy shit on Amazon.
That's probably tailored directly to you, right?
No, the 55-gallon drum of lube. The 55-gallon drum of lube was tailored to me, not the intimate area dark spot. I haven't seen my intimate areas in so long. I don't know if there are dark spots, white spots, or green spots down there.
So that's the brown hole bleacher.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
If you want your brown starfish a little less brown.
As we already know, Parler was removed from the App Store, right? For all the App Stores. That's the next article. We're not going to really cover it. Everybody knows Parler. You can't install it on any phone right now. And also, somebody's archiving the whole freaking thing.
Well, here's a link to a YouTube playlist of the top 25 videos taken off of Parler of the January 6th takeover of the Capitol.
I'm not going to play that during the cast. It's going to get us taken off YouTube.
Yeah, it's a YouTube link. You can copy it and do whatever you want with it.
One thing I want to mention is that they're really trying to ostracize Parler. I mean, basically, it's a pressure campaign. They shut down every service provider from doing business with them. Okay, I mean, I think they're going to have to go offshore to get back in business.
There's been talk of bringing a RICO suit because of that.
Yep.
So, also, Trump has now decided to sign an executive order banning 8 Chinese apps considered to be threats to U.S. national security.
Oh, by the way, on the Parler thing, just a bit. It was supposedly taken off because it was inciting violence, and there are some tweets there that do seem to incite violence. But I'm also hearing news that a lot of the planning for, let's say, the Capitol raid was done on Facebook. I mean,
Sure was.
if you were talking about inciting violence and so forth, Twitter has plenty of that shit too.
Yep.
I think part of this is, and some people hate big tech. I think part of it is an illusion to get rid of a possible competitor.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I remember there's a lot of misinformation going on, and whose misinformation are you going to believe? Okay.
I mean, I have seen posts on Twitter that actively call for the purging of Jews, and that you cannot say that's not hate speech. It's literally saying
and there's idiots that post that garbage all the time. I mean,
no, these have been out there since like 2018. They're from quote official.
2018.
Yes, they've been out there for years, and
there's stuff that predates that.
I know. I'm just saying this is not new stuff. This is what's been out there for a very long time, and it doesn't get removed because of who posted or whoever. So yeah,
or just lazy admins or people don't give a shit, or in worst case scenarios, it brings in ad revenue.
I mean, what was it? There's this one Nick Fuentes. He would attract all the neo-Nazi guys, and until he blocked me because I would kept reporting his followers to Twitter because they were Nazis. But I also encountered on Facebook guys working offshore and had all that Daily Stormer and Nazi flags and everything on their Facebook. And wanted to join the beer groups, but
a lot of people in the news media and a lot of crazy fucks I've seen in InfoSec call anybody to the right of Lenin alt-right, but he legitimately, I would say, probably does fit the bill for alt-right. Nick Fuentes does, because he does want an ethno state, so he definitely fits that bill.
I've actually seen, remember Kathy Cho or somebody like that do the Zhu, Kathy Zhu, who was a Chinese gal that was Miss Michigan, who was wanted to run for Miss Universe or something like that, and she got, because she supported Trump, she got ostracized. Well, I saw posts by Nick Fuentes just ragging on her for being a Chinese. I mean, just really racially bigoted stuff, and he would do it, she would see it, and he would delete it when she reacts to it. Okay, and it would stay up for a couple of minutes and be gone, and he would do that over and over again until finally I think Twitter knocked him off for a while, and so he's a real piece of garbage.
Yeah, I know a few tweet and deleters people, and they fucking annoying because they can't really stand by what they say. I deleted a few tweets because I apologize because I said some things that were a little over the line. Then again, the person I was saying them about has since been an even bigger asshole. I overreacted the first time. Later on, no, this dude is a legit jackass. But yeah, I know a certain person, different political spectrum, I'd say, than... Well, no, similar political spectrum, just different targets that is on Twitter who likes to constantly tweet derogatory shit and then delete it.
Yeah, that's a very common tactic. I mean,
just out of curiosity, does this surprise anybody?
No.
Because, I mean, anybody here have a younger sibling?
I've got a few.
Okay. Have you ever had that wonderful incident like during Thanksgiving dinner? The younger sibling will run to the middle of the room, look at everybody and yell, "Fuck!" and then run away just for the attention it gets them?
I haven't had that.
My siblings are actually way more mature than I am.
This is basically what you're looking at with Twitter, okay? It's the curse. It's the reason why I stopped playing World of Warcraft, because I got sick and tired of hanging out and having to play with 14-year-olds that just learned a 4-letter word and kept using it every 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, that was the MF this and MF that while smoking.
Right, exactly, and it's like there came a point where you had to play in a team with other people, and the other people were just all jackwagons. Yeah, and I don't understand how people have been on. I mean, I've seen worse fights on IRC than I see on Twitter, and people are getting all butthurt, damaged, and going to the hospital because their fifis are hurt and a crap like that. It's just silly. And then the same thing in reverse, they're dogpiling and shutting people up by using Kafka traps, and it's just so sad to watch humanity's asshole, hanging in the wind for anyone to see.
Speaking of assholes hanging in the wind for anyone to see, we've got some really stupid malware. It's being spread by email that pretends to be a sex video of President Trump.
All right, yeah. Let's see.
I don't really want to see. I don't know if I really want to see Trump having sex. Huh?
I want to see the video that supposedly the Russians have of him like going into a hotel. Like, is this the bed where Obama slept? Yeah, and he whips it out and pisses
yeah,
all over.
The what is it? Something dossier. Whose dossier?
Yeah. I don't know. I just call it the piss video. I want to see that before I want to see him having sex. I don't either, but I'd rather see that than a video of him having sex.
So this campaign is done so poorly that it's almost laughable. So it's an email. The original email has nothing to do with the Trump sex scandal. It's a typical phishing email that has a header like a normal like financial crime wannabe type bullshit email title. So, and then you open it and there's an attachment. The attachment is a jar file that says Trump sex scandal video. Now, first of all, most people's computers, even if they've got Java installed, might not have Java associated with jar files. So right off the bat, it might not execute even if they're dumb enough to click on it. Suppose they're dumb enough to click on it and they've got Java installed and it's associated with jar files. The next thing is they used shareware versions of C2 type bullshit. Essentially, you get a warning letter, a warning label on your executable that says this is a pen test tool. Are you sure you want to run it? If then they're still dumb enough to click OK, then it reaches out to the C2 server. But the C2 server also is shareware and gives them a shareware message. What the fuck? It's like complete amateur hour. Still
well, everyone's got to start somewhere.
It's pretty damn bad.
It's probably just some idiots doing it for lulz. I mean, let's see who's stupid enough to click on this 3 times or 4 times.
People are so. It literally asks the person to install a license on the C2 server when it connects. It's like, this server is unlicensed. How beyond amateur hour, but still funny.
You gotta have fun somehow.
You do. I am out of articles. I read them all. Now, a lot of you guys are like, how do you put together your articles? I've been asked in the chat. And I say to thee, I do it with love. I have a bunch of feeds, and I get them all together into a giant spreadsheet, and then I go through that spreadsheet and determine what things are interesting enough to put in the cast. So out of the like 40 or 50 articles I may put in the show notes, I've usually gone through about like 200 or so just to see if they're good enough. And I read a lot of shit that I think is stupid and don't even bother putting in here, and waste a lot of time that I could be doing more productive things. So
you get the threat posts and the dark reading and the bleeding computer.
I have the RSS feeds, yes.
And, I mean, I get stuff from InfraGard, but not a lot.
InfraGard tends to put out a lot of stupid shit that is geared.
Have you ever been to an InfraGard meeting?
I've been to a lot of them.
No, because they have my application in pending status still for like 2 years.
Oh God! Basically, every InfraGard meeting I ever went to was, "Hi, we're the FBI. Won't you come work for us? Have a free sandwich." And I'm like, yeah, if I ever want to take a 40% pay cut, I'll give you a call.
The benefits are pretty good, though, aren't they?
The what?
The benefits are pretty good.
Apparently here they take people out shooting. So that could be fun.
First of all, the FBI is not going to train you to be a special agent if you are younger than or older than 35. So you got to be in their age range.
Well, I'm going to be a very special agent then.
Yep. And then you got the whole you must be able to run that 3-minute mile and
yeah, right.
Yeah, that dude, that would be Olympic level, wouldn't it?
Well,
that's what
you got to be fairly young to be a special agent. I mean, I think you can work you're doing some other stuff, but the thing is that I get CPE credits for going to InfraGard meetings.
Oh, there you go. That's an easy way to get them.
You know, it's 2 or 3 hours. You know,
And I mean, it's usually a pretty good free lunch too.
you get a usually it's a.
Don't you know the basic economic principle? There is no such thing as a free lunch.
Well, yeah, you have, but the thing is, you're getting your free CVE points, so that's kind of, you know, you got to balance the good with the bad.
Points, but I need some continuing ed credits.
Yeah, I mean, and they also, I mean, I as long as I've been a member, I mean, if I could count how much money they spent just training me on stuff and you know, sponsoring me to go to this conference and that conference and that sort of thing, you know, it could be about $100,000 or so. You know, your tax dollars at work.
Are you in the FBI?
Hey, you know, I don't have to pay a membership to be a member of the in Houston because it's the largest in the country.
Right.
I mean, I had some fun. I mean, but the thing is, for me, it was just like a giant. It was a giant recruiting show, you know.
They never tried to recruit. I mean, most of the people that were my peers were, you know, people my age or, you know, between in their 40s or 50s were retired. Okay. I mean, because that's, you know, that, you know, I mean, you had a few, you know, neophytes that were going to school and stuff like that, but you didn't have a lot of, you know, people in their 20s or anything like that. They would go to, you know, hackathon. Yeah. But they wouldn't, you know, they're not going to show up, you know, a couple of times a month at an InfraGard meeting.
You go to DEF CON, you see somebody. Hey, didn't I see you at InfraGard? Yeah.
And so.
And then you get a T-shirt.
So I, you know, so we'd have one guy or a couple of guys that go to the DEF CON, you know, Black Hat, and then they give a report, you know, a summary. Okay, this is what was cool at these conferences, and
I learned not to drink Everclear, and this is a very important point.
Well, these guys are a little more square and straight than that, but, you know.
All right. And last thing I just wanted to show anybody who might be watching, this is what my process looks like. I grab a bunch of RSS feeds, I pop them together, I get them in a spreadsheet. I get about, like, I don't know, this week was 138 of them. And then I take it so that I got the URLs in this field here. And this field over here runs a little script that grabs the title of whatever is in here. And then I have another script that pulls down the meta keywords. And then another script that pulls down what's supposed to be the content, like a summary. And then I have the last but not least stupid thing I do is I take the description here and I take that and then append the website address to it. I take all this crap and then I copy it and then I go into the show notes and I organize it and paste it in there. And that's how you get the bullshit that you see.
You don't have a script that copies and pastes automatically.
You know, I could do that, but I'm just, look, there's only so much automation at this point. It's like, right. Yeah, I could script it out further, but it's really just easier to just take a bunch of freaking links, paste them in this column, have the rest of the script generate the rest of the metadata and crap I need, and then just take it and put it in the show notes.
What I was trying to remember, because I haven't messed with it, is Panda. Okay, so that is your stuff you can do your searches with and everything else. The Panda file formats or whatever. Save it as a Panda. You've heard of that, right?
Yep.
Whatever the heck, you know. So I haven't messed with it that much, but other than this is a Panda file, so you got to run this JSON or something, or you know, Elasticsearch on it or whatever.
I've been playing with the Python requests library to screw around with API stuff, but like I keep telling everybody, I'm not a great programmer. I just do some scripting shit to make life easier. I'm not like writing a lot of programs.
Well, I mean, I did programming like for a long time. You know, started with COBOL and stuff like that. So
COBOL, Fortran.
Yep.
TRS-80 Basic Level 2.
Did basic.
Tell me all the 7 types of things in COBOL. My brain is on.
I think there was like four divisions or something like that.
There was the environmental section. There was the.
There's a data division or something like.
I had to take COBOL when I went to college the first time, in like 2000.
I didn't have to, but it was an option. But we're also talking about something around, I don't know, 98 or so. Back then, there was plenty of demand for it because of the year 2000 problem.
Yeah, I took it.
There's a lot of demand now for places like DMVs and unemployment, state unemployment agencies.
Databases written in COBOL.
Yep.
Can't get out of them.
I took it in 1981. Okay.
That's when I was born. Now they have that info.
After intro to data processing, where I learned about Hollerith code and punch cards and EBCDIC and ASCII and
goddamn EBCDIC.
EBCDIC, extended binary code decimal on 96 column cards instead of 80 column cards, and stuff like that. So I mean, I did the first computer I worked on had a paper tape, and so I've worked on old IBM systems and VAC systems. And
you ever get to see one of those IBM honeycomb storage units?
Which ones?
The honeycomb storage units.
No, I haven't seen no. I usually they were disc packs. I tapes, 6250 tape drives or something like that. The reel-to-reel tapes. 200 megabyte tape drives, and multi-platter NCR systems. Okay, so with these, you had like 12 platters on these disk drives, and and it was cool. We got a DASD. Okay, that was like so cool. Wow, a disk array, or a 32-bit multiprocessor NCR system that was running ECL logic. So it had to be use chilled water to cool the thing down, so it could run fast, because ECL was faster than regular CMOS silicon emitter couple logic. You remember that? Y'all ever take electronics and study, how to build radios and, op amps and, logic gates and stuff like that?
All that good Heathkit stuff.
Yeah, I did Heathkits and I did tubes.
The internet is a series of tubes.
Yeah, I mean, I did lots of tubes. Where you had, instead of step down transformers, you had step up transformers. Oh, I got to play with flybacks. I used to love building Jacob's ladders and stuff like that.
Those are fun. You get an old neon transformer, make it into a Jacob's ladder.
Yeah. But just a regular TV flyback would do it, And I mean, I built my own gas laser. Okay, that was cool. Okay, I was using a step up transformer. So back in the old days,
Have you ever gone on Electronics Goldmine? They sell like really cheap components, like you want like capacitors or resistors or any of the typical electronic components. They got all that crap, really super cheap, and it's like also they got used crap and like things they desoldered from motherboards, and it's a lot of cool shit to be found on there.
I gave away all that stuff. I mean, I had transformers from like, massive transformers from like giant printers and stuff where you could.
I took a transformer out of a microwave once. Yeah. Gave my then wife a near heart attack when she saw it opened up the broken microwave. So I was going to die.
I used to crack open the microwaves all the time. But I mean, I used to have stuff that was so heavy, it would be like 100 pounds. Okay. I mean, really, heavy current stuff. I gave all that stuff away. I mean, I had too much of it. Okay, I mean, I had 15 kW transmitters and radar systems, radar sets, and
Ooh.
transmitters and waveguide, and I mean, I used to do all that stuff, and I'd get all this surplus stuff in, and radar test sets. I mean, this thing weighed 150 pounds. It was Navy. I used to get all that stuff, and because we're gonna work on this stuff, and I'd have receivers that would pick up cell phone conversations, and and I had the FCC license, so they really couldn't do anything to me. So, I can listen to one side of a conversation on the cell phone, and that's the
All right, gentlemen, I need to get going. I've got a lot of work I got to finish up. So you
All
have
right,
a
folks.
good night.
We're gonna have in it right now. Everybody, check you out next week.
All right, have a good one.
Later.
All right.
Raw. Stay away.
All right.